You've seen how examples, tests, and targeted interviews sharpen your prompts. Now we shift from crafting better instructions to controlling how your changes land. In this module, you'll make CI output machine-parseable so tools can act on it, and you'll isolate reviews so reruns don't pile up duplicate comments. Let's start by defining a contract for your CI output. By the end of this module, you can make CI output machine-parseable and rerun reviews without duplicating comments. Here is how this module builds up. This technique is about making Claude code output something a machine can consume in a CI pipeline. It is not about making the output human-readable, and it is not about interactive debugging. The distinction people get wrong is thinking that piping sdin from /dev/null is equivalent to p. It is not. P is the documented, tested flag, and the exam will test that you know the difference. In production, without P your CI job hangs until it times out, burning runner minutes and blocking the pipeline. Without structured output, your bot either fails to post comments or posts them in the wrong place, and the review feedback loop breaks. The cost is missed security issues, slower reviews, and a loss of trust in the automation. This is the failure this technique prevents. Take the case from the document. Your pipeline runs Claude with a review prompt and hangs. First, add P. That alone fixes the hang, but now you get pros. So you add output format JSON. Now you have JSON, but its shape is unpredictable. You write a schema that demands path, line, severity, issue, and suggested fix, the fields an inline comment needs. You wire it in with JSON schema. The alternative of redirecting sdin from /dev/null loses because it is not the documented flag and the exam will not accept it. The other cases in the document follow the same pattern, they are on the page. The durable rule is, in any CI context, use P to prevent interactive hangs, and pair output format JSON with JSON schema to enforce a contract your automation can rely on. Reject workarounds like /dev/null redirection because they are not the documented answer, and reject invented flags because they do not exist in the CLI surface. The reason is not just exam correctness, it is that documented flags are supported, tested, and will still work next year. This is tested by giving you a scenario, a hanging CI job, pros output, and asking for the fix. The distractor that catches people is choosing an invented flag like Claude headless or batch. The exam deliberately includes these to test whether you know the real CLI surface. The other trap is stopping at use JSON without specifying the schema fields. You need to name path, line, severity, issue, and suggested fix. Incremental review means you give the reviewer the output of the last review and tell it to report only what is new or still broken. Reviewer isolation means the session that reviews the code is not the session that wrote it. This is not about asking the model to double-check its own work or turning on extended thinking, those are weaker because the same reasoning context persists. The distinction someone could get wrong is thinking any second look is good enough, when in fact the value comes from a context that does not share the generator's assumptions. Without this, a PR with 3 new commits gets 14 old comments reposted alongside the real new issues. The team learns to ignore the reviewer because it cries wolf. Test suites grow with duplicate coverage that adds maintenance burden and slows CI without catching more bugs. And the same session that wrote the code reviews it and gives a clean bill of health because it cannot see past its own reasoning. In production, that means defects ship that an independent reviewer would have caught. The cost is rework, escaped bugs, and a review process nobody trusts. Take the re-review problem. A PR gets 3 new commits. You rerun the reviewer. It posts all 14 original comments again. The fix, in the reviewer prompt, you attach the last review output and instruct it to report only issues not present in those prior findings. The alternative, deduplicating comments after the fact and the bot loses because you still pay for the tokens to generate all 14 old comments, and the review itself cannot distinguish new problems from old ones. The cost is that you must store and retrieve the last review output, a small state management burden. The test duplication case and the self-review case follow the same pattern, they are on the page. The durable rule is, when you rerun any generative step, give it the prior output and tell it to report only deltas. This applies to reviews, test generation, documentation, anywhere a model might repeat itself. For test generation specifically, supply the existing test files and encode your testing standards in Claude.md. And never let the same session review the code it wrote. The reason is not that the model is lazy, it is that the session still holds the reasoning that produced the code, so it is unlikely to question its own decisions. An independent instance starts fresh and sees the code as it is, not as it was intended to be. On the exam, you will see a scenario where a reviewer reposts old comments after new commits. The distractor is a bot-sided duplication script. It looks practical but wastes tokens and misses the point. The self-review trap recurs in domain 4, where both ask the model to double-check its own work and turn on extended thinking are presented as options. Both are weaker than using an independent instance. This part is testcraft. Know that the exam wants the architectural choice, not the quick fix. Let's lock in what we covered. First, to get machine-parseable output from the CI tool, you must use the reporter JSON flag, other flags won't work. Second, if you rerun a review without the ID flag, it treats it as a new run and duplicates all comments. Third, passing ID with a unique identifier isolates the run, so comments don't pile up. These 3 facts will save you real debugging time.